Advarim, he brings Kasha from Moreno, Yitzchak, the father of David. So that's the Kasha from the Gemara Ksubas. That's where the Shemaim is. He's handling the Sugi Ksubas. The Sugi Ksubas is talking about there was a star. Based in that the star said Ruvain and Shimon Chasam on the star. And the halacha is, Sugi Ksubas is discussing the din of Kiyum Shtaros. So you have to be the kind of Eidim have to come in and say, we recognize this is our Ksav Yad. And thereby the star becomes Muhsak. So the two Eidim came into Bezdin and they said, Ksav Yadeinu, who's there, we recognize this is our Ksav Yad. But we were forced by gunpoint to sign. It really wasn't true. The testimony was false. So they said they signed false. So the Gemara says there, the Gemara says there, Rav Meir says they're not Nemon. And the Gemara says, for some Rav Meir, someone who they forced by gunpoint to sign falsely is supposed to give up his life and is not allowed to sign falsely. So it comes out, that's how the Pasuk Shad Gemara seems to be, that if someone is held at gunpoint to sign falsely, the mayor seems to say, Yehare, we don't pass like that, the Gemara asks right away, but we need his own Gimel Aveir, says Yar Goliath, but the Gemara thought that, according to Rameir, the Gemara Havamina, we shouldn't discuss what the Havamina was, but the Gemara seemed to indicate that Rameir would have held that a person is mechuyev to give up his life before he signs falsely. And therefore, when he's testifying that he signed falsely, he's Mesim Asper Rasha. He's saying that when he signed on this star, he was a Rasha and did an Aveira. He signed falsely instead of giving up his life. And therefore, Rameir says you're not Nemon to make yourself a Rasha. So Frank, the Moreno, Rav Yitzchak, and Rav David, and this doesn't fit with these Paiskim. These Paiskim that are saying that when a person is forced by threat of death to do an Aveira, since the Yetzer Hara is so strong, he doesn't become Pasal La'edus, and he's still Kosher La'edus, he's not considered a Rasha. So why is there a din that a person can't make himself, can't say that he signed falsely by Ba'inus of Chiyuv Isa? He's not making himself a Rasha, he's not making himself a Pasal. He doesn't become Pasal La'edus if he signed falsely by death threat. That's the catch. And the Shmaitz's Machadish that we see from this Gemara that it's not true. We're maintaining this statement of the Paiskim that if someone does an Aveira based on a death threat, he doesn't become a Rasha. Therefore, when he's testifying that he signed falsely, he's not Mason Atzmoy Rasha, he's not making himself a Rasha. Nevertheless, he's not Nemon to say he did the Aveira of testifying falsely, even though he's not making himself a Rasha. That's what the Shmaitza is proving. And it's a big Chiddush. We are studying to this Chiddush to our Sugya. What comes out from this Chiddush of the Rashba is that even though Rashi Sanhedrin says that the din of Einos of Mesim Asper Rasha means a person is not allowed to say testimony about himself if it creates on him a status of a din puzzle. So Rasha, so puzzle Einos. Because you're not allowed to, you're a karoi to testify a status on yourself. A status on yourself is a mishpat, is a judgment on yourself. And if there's a judgment on yourself, you're a karoi to yourself. You can't testify about yourself, about your own status. People often make this mistake. I'm allowed to testify that I took a real pen and I passed it over there. I took a real pen and I put it over in this corner. I can testify about that because that's not about myself. I'm saying about something I did, but the judgment, the mishpat and bezdin has nothing to do with me. But if someone is saying that he did a rush or resha, in which case he becomes under the halachic status of rasha pasul eidus, he's pasul eidus, he's pasul eidus. And that's why when someone says he's a rasha, he's not never. Someone says he's a rasha, he's not never. So the Ktoi says that in this case of the Gemara, he doesn't become a rasha because he was an anus. And if he was an anus, he can't become a rasha. Therefore, he's not testifying about himself that he psul. So therefore, what's the problem? So it says in Mechadish that there's a new inyan called a person is not allowed to testify about himself. She'osno she'loi kedin u'ketayr. That's what the says in Mechadish. So we don't know pshat in this halacha. That's what it seems to be saying. That a person is not neman to testify about himself that he was also shaloi kedin. So we wanted to tell too that that's the pshat in this Tosfos. The Tosfos is talking about a person who's claiming that he was over an aveira b'meizid. Tosfos is saying the man was Mars before that a man is neman to say he was over an aveira b'meizid. Tosfos, you know the meisim from Russia. Kedamar Sanhedrin. So we asked what Shaykhs. Sanhedrin is talking about a person who's not allowed to testify about himself that he has the status of Tzul Russia. Over here, he's not testifying about himself. He's just claiming that he's part from a carbon. That's not. No one's judging whether he's a puzzle. No one is judging him whether he's puzzle or not. We're not considering him a Russia. The cloud. He's not an eight. He's not Neman. He's not an eight. He's a carbon. It's just a question of could he have a claim to say that the Aiden can't be Mechayim of a carbon. You don't need to be an 8 for that. There's no Kabbalah saying this in Bezdin. So why is Tosfos saying 8 other Mesim of Russia? So we're telling too that the same the Shmaitza here says that when you're not making yourself Pasal Eidos, so there's no problem with being a carbon because you're not making yourself Pasal. So there's no Din Karim. You're only a Karim if you're judging, if you're speaking about a mishpah of yourself. Are you a Russia? Here you're not making yourself a karim, right? You're not making yourself a puzzle. So there's no din karim, there's no psul eidus here. And yet the Shmaitza says we don't believe it. Likewise, in our Tosfos, even though you are saying you're a rasha, but nobody's believing you because you're not an aid. You're just a tayyid. You're trying to excuse yourself from chiyuv karim. It's not a nemanus. There's no eidus being accepted in Bezdin that you did this aveira b'meizid. It's just a claim to excuse yourself from the chiyuv karim. So, also here, there wouldn't be an issue of psul eidos. Nevertheless, we could say 8 other Mesim Atzmi Russia. That was the comparison that we made. And on that basis, answer is you're right. There is such a rule that would apply here, 8 other Mesim Atzmi Russia. But, ain't never lifsel atzmi. Avol hacha ois tshuva, the ein roitz lehei nichul l'nazar. Ein neman lifsel atzmi. A person is not neman to passel himself. But here, he's doing tshuva, and he doesn't want to bring chulul bazar. What is taish? Pasha taish. What does taish mean to answer? You can't say he's answering that he's not neman. Pasha people who can read the taish says taish is saying that the only thing that may not make him out to be Russia is that you're not neman to say testimony that you become a Russia. Because you're a Karim. But over here he's saying he did too. But that can't be Pshat Tosfos because even in the Kasha we established, the Tosfos knew that he's not saying testimony about himself. He's just saying a taina to excuse himself from being Karim. So we knew that in the Kasha. Elbai in the Kasha, he was going with Mahalach of the Shmaitza, that besides from Psul Eidos, there's another halacha that you're never to say a statement that you did a rishon. Even if it's not been did Eidos. And then what's the terror? Ain't never lived so much money. Who cares? Who cares that you're not passing yourself? We weren't being done the psul of Korah of Pasol Le'etus over here. We were being done the psul of the Shem Shmaitzi. You know, let's say you did Resha. So what does it matter if you're passing yourself around? What place is this there?
What's wrong?
If we're right, that Tosfos in his kasha was never considering the psul of Korah, that you're related to yourself and you can't be an aid regarding the judgment of whether you're a Russian. Because that discussion is not relevant over here, because we're not talking about Eidus. We're talking about tithing. We're talking about a guy who's claiming he's amazing and therefore he's not Mechuyah to grant carbon. You don't need Eidus over here. So that's, why did Tosfos say there's a problem with the other makes not very Russian? So we're selling to the Shmaitz. And the Shmaitz is talking about in a case where you're anyway not possible Eidus because you're saying you did it for Eidus, so that wouldn't be Resha. So you're not saying Rishus about yourself. And there was no problem with Korah, and the Shmaitz still says you're not allowed to say you did an Aver. So you see from the Shmaitz that besides for the halacha that you're not allowed to create yourself in the status of Russia, there's another halacha that you're not believed to say you did an Aver. Separate halacha, besides for the rule of Psul Eidus, that a person can't be an aid about his status of Rishus. Even when it's not relevant to the status of Rishus, like over here where he's an Eidus. Right? Or over here where he's not doing it for Teres Eidus in our Tosfos. It's not Eidus. Still, nobody ever believes when a person says that he did an Aver. We don't believe a person did an Aver. And that's what Tosfos is kasha. That's what we explain. If so, what place is there? The answer is, he's not saying he's puzzled. He's saying he did true. And he doesn't want to break the rule of the faith. He's still claiming he did an Aver amazing. He's still claiming he did an Aver amazing. Aaron's good?
Yeah.
That's the shot. So the Chayra, we can answer this question as follows. Yesh Lachkar, this is not taking full responsibility because I'm under the influence of Corona, so I can't be sure. Didn't have the didn't have a chance to discuss this with anyone, but we can make a suggestion, see if anyone likes it. We declare a shaila, what is the pshat in this psul? And it says in the Shem Shmaitza that besides for the halacha of that a person is puzzled to be made rishus about himself with the Korah, there's another halacha that a person is not neman to say he did a double resha. What is that halacha? So the Shmaitza himself, as he goes on in the shtickle, he brings a raya from Gemara Yevamos that this din is not really true. There's no din that a person can't be made that he did a davar shel resha. There's no such halacha. No such halacha that a person can't be made that he did a davar shel resha. The Gemara in Ksuba Stuff Yutes says the Farish that way. The Gemara in Ksuba Stuff Yutes says that Rav Meir says that when agents say they signed a star falsely, we don't believe them because they know the Mason Russia and they were supposed to get killed and not sign falsely. So you see, even though the Tzais established that you are not making yourself puzzle as a Russia because they did a goyness, nevertheless, they're not allowed to say they did a Meiser Resha. It brings us. They take the Farish in the Rashba and Supas. Can't say he did a Meiser Resha. So he says Pshat in the Rashba and Supas like this. He says that in that Gemara, the Gemara is talking about someone comes into Beis Din and says, this star, Sabi Abeinu, it was written by me, was signed by me. Sukkah says that a person has to testify that he was the aid written on the star in order to make the star kosher. He doesn't say that he's the aid on the star. There's no kiyum on the star. Kiyum star. Toshkei Dibor, within 3 seconds of when he said Sabi Abeinu was that, he turned around and he said, but I was signing false. So the Shmaitz explains, Gemara says there, the reason why he's believed, usually an aid is not neman to say that the star that he signed on is possible. When the star is signed by Hesher, he can't be made that the star is possible. The reason why he's neman is because he has a migu. He could have said, I never signed the star. He said, he said, I was the one who signed the star. And then he turned around and said, well, but you should know, I was a liar when I signed it. So he's never with a migu. So he stayed in the mud. Says the Shmaitza, if so, the reason that the Gemara says you're not never to be based on the Russia is because there's a chazaka that a person doesn't do resha. And therefore, if you are only believed with migu that you could have been silent and not been behind the star, so we believe you say the star was signed falsely, there's a rule in the Gemara Baba Basra and Abay, migu b'makim chazaka le'amina. And therefore, since there's a chazaka that he doesn't do resha, so the nemanus of migu, the power of migu, doesn't give you a strength to be believed against chazaka. If you would have the power of Eidos Avada, if you're made, that you did a Resha, there's no reason a person can't be made that he did an Aveda. But if the Nemanus is Migu, and there's a Chazaka that people don't do Averos, so Migu, the Makom, Chazaka Le'ami. That's how the Shmaitza concludes at the end of this paragraph. So I want to clarify the Yeshlach. You could say two versions. What is the migu b'moko? What is the chazaka? The Shmaitz is telling us that the reason why, when you're not coming to be made that you are a rasha, rather you're saying you did an aveira, nevertheless you can't accept that testimony. That's also nachadin amein on the mesim atzmei rasha. What's the pshat of this halacha? The Shmaitz says that the pshat is there's a chazaka that a person's not a rasha, and therefore a migu. To say you did a resha is a migu b'makom chazaka. That's the beer in the Gemara Super Section. So we want to know what is the chazaka that a person doesn't do resha. Yesh leimar b'beis efan. We could say that there's a cheskas kashrus on the Jew. There's a cheskas kashrus on the Jew. Saying someone does resha is against the cheskas kashrus. The cheskas kashrus of a person is that he's an honest person. He's not an evildoer. You can't say he's doing evil. You can't say that a person is doing evil. Because there's a halachic psak of a person that he's considered a erlich, a person is considered a kosher, oisei yosher. A person is considered a oisei yosher. You can't say he's doing a bear. Or you could say, a different shot, you could say that there's a chazaka like a roy that roy people don't do mistakes. Roy people don't do a bear. It's not common that a person can do an aver. Like the roy animals are not a treifa. Roy people don't do avers. Avers, who wants to do an aver? Put your hand in fire, take it tasty. Why would a person do something crazy like that? It's against nature. Alright, okay. I would someone do an aver. So, is the shot, and we can't say that someone did an aver because there's a roy that says someone did an aver. That's together of this chazaka. Like the Lashon of the Smite said, Mistama Kedin Avdi. Or no, the shot is that a person is considered that he's a kosher. And we have a halacha to be machzik everybody and everything that they do b'cheskas kosher. We have to consider people's actions just like we have to consider people sharing. We have to consider their actions are b'kasher. Because we can't say people are doing avers. So I want to say that if we explain the reason why there's a chazaka in the Beis Matzah Rosh, it's not because there's some sort of logic that people don't do avers. Clear logic that people don't do avers. Rather, one has no right to judge. One has no right to judge on a person that he is a oisei aver. That's kashrus of the person says. A person is a kosher. Just like you can't say he's a pasul aid, you can't say he's a oisei aver. You can't say his maisa is rishon. If he's kosher, his maisim are ksherim too. No, because of the status of kashrus on the person is mechayiv to assume that what he's doing is light. Yeah, that was the first one, yeah. Not because there's a logic to say more chances people do, right times people do good things more than bad things. Because the status of the kashrus of a person says, assume he's glad. Assume he's doing good. Assume he's doing good. Cheskas kashrus of the guy. So if we say like this tzad, maybe we can be mechalek as follows. Maybe this is what our Tosfos means. In the case of Ksubais, the man is coming into Bezin, and he's saying, I signed last week on a star b'psul. I signed a star b'psul. We say, Ein Ad Beis Matzah Rosh. There's a chazaka, we can't accept that claim. Chazaka that you're kosher. Here, we have a man saying, when I ate the chel last week, I was doing it b'bezin. So we want to say the same thing. Ein Ad Beis Matzah Rosh. There's a chazaka that you're kosher. So on that place it says a skora. The only time we say Ein Ad Beis Matzah Rosh is if he's saying he is a Rosh. But if he's saying he was a Rosh and now he did tshuva, he's a good guy, that's not a problem. That's what Tosfos Bayah said. So we can ask the Kash on Tosfos. In the case of the Gemara Ksubah, where the Shmaitz is coming from, two Eidim come in and say, this star that you see in front of you, we were signing falsely, berishis. We were doing an Aveira signing falsely. The Gemara says, Ein Ad Beis Matzah Rosh. So why don't we say the same Gemara as Tosfos? They're not saying they're a Russia. They're saying a year ago when they signed the document, they were doing it falsely. Now they're big Bali Tshuva. Now they're good guys. They want to save the world from falsehoods. And they're telling us that you should know the star is fake. The same chiluk the Tosfos there's no problem made on the base of Russia, we could apply to the Sukkos. When Rameir says that a person is not able to say that he was made sheker on the star. Oh, he was saying it was in Russia a long time ago. What does that have to do with now? Now he's about tshuva. I want to say, the chiluk is, over there's a mishpat in Bezdin about the signature of a year ago. There's a judgment in Bezdin, was the signature of a year ago a signature of kashrus or a signature of tzur? That's the shaila here. We have a star, and the shaila is the star kosher or the star kosher, right? So there's a judgment in Bezdin. Is this signature on the star considered true testimony or a lie? So that there's a rule that there's a cheskas kashrus on the signature in the star. The signature in the star is something created by an erlich. The signature in the star has a cheskas kashrus. If I say that that signature was B'tsul, I am breaking the cheskas kashrus of that signature. Who cares that I did tshuva today? The issue is not the cheskas kashrus of me today. The problem is not that I'm going against the chazakah that says I'm a kosher Jew today. That's not the issue. The issue is that the chazakah on the signature that's speaking in the star. The signature in the star says, Ani A, and I am a kosher aid, and I say emet. There's a cheskas kashrus on that eidos, on that testimony. If I say that when I was signing the star a year ago I was lying, I'm breaking the cheskas kashrus of that testimony. I will say nemar, you can't be nemar with amigo against the cheskas kashrus. Shaking over here. The man is trying to say he was amazing when he ate the chaylev. There's a din in the Torah that we have to be machzik the person who ate the chaylev, the cheskas kosher. Nobody cares about the person who ate chaylev. There's no judgment on the person who ate chaylev. Nobody knows about it. The question is, the yid that's standing here today at the base of Mikdash and we're asking him to bring a carbon, is he a Rasha or is he not a Rasha? So if he says today, last year I did an Aver B'Mezid and since then I did Tshuva. So nobody's judging any psul on anybody. Therefore he's Nemo. That's what Tyson is saying. The reason why a person is not Nemo with your timer is because you're going against a cheskas kashrus. You can't claim that you did rishus against a cheskas kashrus. There's a cheskas kashrus that you're auto kosher. You're saying that last year you did an Avera. It doesn't change your status. Who cares about last year? It's only in the Sugi and Ksubas group we have a signature which was on a document from last year. So there's a chesed of a signature of Eidim from last year, which that signature has a cheskas Eidus kosher. We can't break the cheskas Eidus kosher of the signature, so I'm not allowed to say that. I was signing falsely back then. That's the chiluk. The chiluk is, what are we judging? Are we judging the story back then? Like the story of Ksubas, where we're judging the signatures back then. Then if I say there was Resha being done, I'm going against cheskas kashrus of the signature. Over here, we're only judging the guy today. Is he a Mechuyah carbon? And he says he's not a Mechuyah carbon because a year ago, they saw him he was Isaac amazing. So what? He's not breaking any cheskas kashrus. And I was he's not up against cheskas kashrus. There's some sort of roy that people don't do Averis. I was like, you don't say that second time that there's a roy people don't do Averis. That would be the issue. Now this type of things with the shmaitza. That's what we want to say. Okay. Just to finish the last thesis. We had a sugya here. Gemara said, Rav Kal Chaimer says that pig is more chomer than Eidim. Pig is mechai b'knas. Shor Eidim is Mechayiv Shvua. The Gemara says no. I'm sorry, Piv is more Kal than Eidim, because Piv is Ein Mechayiv Kras, the Shor Eidim is Mechayiv Shvua. The Gemara said no, Piv has a choimer that it's Mechayiv Karba. The Gemara said Rav Meir, Rav Chi holds like Rav Meir, that even Eidim are Mechayiv Karba. And the Gemara said, maybe Asham, maybe the Chumrah of Piv is that Piv is Mechayiv Asham and Eidim are not. Like Kasha, Asham Hayim Karban, and the Gemara said the same thing by Chaimish, and the Gemara was Mechadish, like Rav Meir. Just like there's a Kal Chaimer that says it could be Mechayiv Karban, Al Pi Eidim, against Piv, Huadin, you could be Mechayiv Chaimish and Asham Al Pi Eidim against Piv. So Taisus was Mevar. This halacha is not so pashut, even though our Gemara says that Rav Meir, meaning Akal B'Chomer, learns out that a person can be Mechayiv Karban Asham against Piv. He says, he even say he was Mechayiv Asham, and Piv says he's not Mechayiv Asham. The Taisus says the Sugya in Shvuos and the Sugya in But Kama seemed to hold that according to Rav Meir, Eidim can't be Mechayiv Asham. And Tosfos says the reason we should be Gabei Asham Sid B'Hisvada. There's a special pasuk that says it's Eretz HaKosav that he's only Chayav if he's Moedeh. And therefore, even with Kal V'Chaymer, even though there's a Kal V'Chaymer, Ma Eidim Shemechayiv L'Neisei Misa, Kal V'Chaymer they should be Mechayiv Asham. You can't be Mechayiv Karban Asham in Kal V'Chaymer because it says B'Hisvada. That's what Tosfos says. So we know that Rashi, the way Rashi learns the Sugya, Rashi said that the reason why the Rabbanan hold you can't be B'chuy B'chatas Al Pi Eidim is because it says Oyhoida Elav V'lo Yeshayoydiu Acher. You have to become known yourself. And you can't have other people tell you. And Rav Meir says no. Kal V'Chaymer says if Eidim could be Mechayiv Nisa, they could be Mechayiv Karban. So Aaron was asking yesterday why, when it comes to Karban Chatos, where there's also a pasuk, V'lo Yeshayoydiu Acherim, and therefore the Rabbanan say you can't be Mechayiv Al Pi Eidim. Here Rav Meir says Kal V'Chaymer. When it comes to Asham, where it says Be'esvada, you have to admit, all of a sudden, the Tosfos says, the Sugyas in other places in Chas, that hold you can't make a Kal V'Chaymer. Machlokes HaSugyos, whether you can make a Kal V'Chaymer. What's the difference? Why, against the pasuk of V'lo Yeshayoydiu Acherim, everybody agrees you can make a Kal V'Chaymer, to say that Eidim could be Mechayivim or Karban Chatos. But again, the pasuk of Yisvada, it's a machlokes HaSugyos if you could be Mechayiv Al Pi Eidim. And the second question we asked yesterday, basic question, that if you hold like our Sugya that Rav Meir makes a Kal V'Chaymer and he says that Eidim could be Mechayiv Karban Asham, nevertheless, the Gemara clearly tells us that the Rabbanan argue. And the Rabbanan say that only Piv could be Mechayiv Asham and Karban, and Eidim cannot be Mechayiv or Karban Asham. As I state in the Gemara, right? So the Shaila is what? From Meir has a Kal V'Chaymer, the Piv, that Eidim could be Mechayiv or Karban, like he has by Chatos, and we know the Mishnah increases that. By Chatos, why do we argue with Rav Meir? Because the Rabbanan say, according to the list of Basra, increases. Ilu Yomer Mezer Isi Nemo, and he's able to say Mezer Isi would have been Nemo, and he has an Igu. And Rashi, the Rambam Paskin like that, Asham. Well, we know by Asham, if you did it in Mezer, you still have a Karban Asham. And therefore, there's no Migu by Asham. You can't say you're a Mezer. So since there's no Migu by Asham, how do the Rabbanan wiggle out of the Kal V'Chaymer of Rav Meir? That's the two questions we have.
First answer.
What? Okay, so like the Rashi Tosfos, which answer the Sugya is going with. So that's what like Tosfos, but like Rashi, sure. What's the second question? That if the Rabbanan, according to the way Rashi Rashi learns the sugya here that the Rabbanan are exempting from a carbon against Rav Meir's Kalvachaymer because he has a migu that he could have said Mazin. That's all by carbon chatas. Chatas is not chayav b'mezid. You only chayav b'shogeg, but Ashav you're chayav even b'mezid. So what's the excuse? So on the answer to both these questions is one point. I showed you today Ramban, it's enforced in the Kedusha Ramban. The Ramban says that there's a chiluk yisoidi between the pasuk of the Loishe Yoshi'u Acherin and the pasuk of the Hisvada that it says by Asher. And he gives this case, the Ramban. He gives a case. What will be in a case where Aiden say you ate chaylev and you are shotek? You're silent. You say, okay, it could be any of that, I don't know. Or even your shaysik mamish. So, the Ramban says everybody agrees. And if Aiden say you're oichel chaylev and you don't know anything and you're silent, of course you're chayav to bring a carbon. Even though it says v'lo she'ediyu acher, you can't bring a carbon chatas based on the testimony of others. But avada, if you don't argue with the Eidim, avada you're allowed to bring a carbon chatas based on the testimony of others. Nevertheless, says the Ramban, when it comes to Asham, there's a special pasuk in the word v'hisvada. The Hisvada says that even if Eidim will say you're chayav b'asham and you don't argue unless you admit, yes, I admit I am chayav, you're not chayav to bring a carbon asham. It means to say like this. There's a tremendous difference between carbon chatas and carbon asham. Carbon chatas, in order to be chayav carbon chatas, you need yediyah. You need yediyah. You have to know. You have to be internally conscious of the fact that you did a sin. Here, Machlokes, Yediyah al Yedei Acherim, is that good Yediyah or not? So we say, if two people told you that you ate a chaylev and you were silent, that's considered a Yediyah. Because you're mechuyev to believe the Eidim, they're honest people. Torah says two Eidim are believed. If you deny it and you're makfish, you say liars, then even though Beis Din believes them, but you're not chayav karban because you're not mechuyev, you're not considered to be having a Yediyah if you don't believe the Eidim. That's what we said in the Sukkah. Asham is a different thing. Asham is not a halacha of Yediyah. It's a din of ha'idah. You have to admit. You have to give in. You have to say, yes. And until you admit, I don't care how much you know you sinned, you're not chayav karban. And if you need admittance, you need the hisvada, you need admittance. So it doesn't pass. It's not possible to say, well, if the Eidim told you you have a carbon and you believe it because you have to believe what Eidim say, you're chayav. It doesn't matter. The point of the chiyuv carbon asham, the Torah says, is that you're chayav because you acknowledge and admit and accept and you say, yes, I sinned. And until you come to that point, you're not chayav a carbon. There's a din bidui. The din is vada. That's how Taisus and the Ramban learn. And therefore, if we say like that, we answer both of our questions. We answer both of our questions. The question why Rav Meir's Kal V'Chaymer doesn't work for Asham is question. Because Rav Meir's Kal V'Chaymer is that since Eidim are so strong they can be B'chayv Yisa, then for sure they have to be able to be considered enough Yediyah, enough clarity, enough truth to be B'chayv Karban. So there can't be a din that you could say you don't believe the Eidim. Okay, that's all when it's totally in belief. But by Asham, when it's not totally in belief, it's totally in personal submission. You have to give yourself in and say, I admit, I'm ready to repent, so to speak. It's not negaya how much the Eidim are saying the truth. It's not negaya. You didn't admit. You didn't admit. That's why Rav Meir holds you can't make a Kal V'Chaymer l'gabei Asham. And that answers the Rabbanan also. Why did the Rabbanan argue on the Kal V'Chaymer? For the same reason. Of course you don't have a migu that you could have said Beis. You don't need a migu. Rabbanan say it doesn't help the Kal V'Chaymer. For this easy gufa. You can't make a Kal V'Chaymer. What Kal V'Chaymer? The fact tells you, I didn't admit, he's not Ramban says, so strong is the Kal Chaimer that the Kal Chaimer says that the Eidim are able to accomplish as if he had been. It's hard to understand. Eidim are in the sugya of birur, of clarity of truth. Admittance is a mitzias, is a state of mind of the sinner. So what does the Ramban mean? The Kal Chaimer tells you that the Eidim are so strong that they can achieve as if he was mighty. But what does the Ramban mean? I don't have an answer. Nachum seems to say that the Pshat of the Ramban is that the Alfusa from Kal Chaimer is Chiddush. The Alfusa from Kal Chaimer is that if you have Eidos that you sin, then you're Chayav even without Eidos. That's what he seems like he's trying to say. I don't have a Pshat of the Ramban, but I'm just taking from the Ramban's Kasha to be able to understand why there's a difference in the Chiyuv of Asham than the Chiyuv of Chatas, to explain why the Rabbanim don't agree over here to Rameir, and why the Sugyas of Kamil don't agree, and how our Sugya holds there could be a Kal Chaimer to Rabban's Akasha, and we don't understand well it's there. We're stopping with that. Moving forward, we were a little out of order. We were holding in the end of the Sugya of El and Kama Retana Tuna. We went back to go over the Sugya of Karbanis. I just want to finish one ha'ara in this last sugya. The Gemara's conclusion is we were holding now. Here's Hashem tomorrow. We want to start the sugya of Helach. The Gemara's conclusion after the long Kal Chaimer of Rav Chia was that Rav Chia says that just like Moedeh b'Miktzas is Mechuyev L'Isha B'Shmur D'Raisa, when you have Hadas Eidim, two Eidim testify that the person is guilty on half of the claim, between Eidechad and Moedeh b'Miktzas, then when there's a Taina Ukfira, like it says a Taina Chazaka, Ramban had his nusach that there was a Taina that is relying on a portion of the Taina. Rashi seemed to hold just Taina Ukfira and something, wasn't clear Rashi's gather. But there's a Taina Ukfira, you're Mechuyev Karban, therefore a Piyah learns out from the Tzara Shabbat that when there's Hadas Eidim on Miktzas of the Chayiv, you're Chayiv Shur, not Karban, Shur. So the Gemara asked the Kasha, Pircham and Kal Chaimer, the final, the second to last attempt to try to break the Kal Chaimer. The Gemara said, how can we learn out from Eidecha and Moedeh b'Miktzas, which are both Mechayev Shur, to say that Hadas Eidim should be Mechayev Shur? The Gemara asked the Kasha, Ma le Hadas, Ma le Eidecha the Moedeh b'Miktzas shekei loy hochsa kapro. But Rabbi Eidim shekei hochsa kapro, which means when someone denied, Noi owes me $1,000, and Noi said no, and now two Eidim came and testified that he borrowed $500, so he's known Al Pi Eidos, he became established clearly that he lied and denied money, for sure on the $50, so therefore he's in a position of being a known liar. So the person is a Hosakah. So the Gemara had a kasha. How could we say that you learn that from Shua say that Shua Moedeh b'Miktzas? That when there's Hadas, even on 50% of the Chiyuv, you're Chayav Shua. The Chayra, by Hadas Eidim, the defendant is a Hosakah. He's known to be a liar. He was proven a liar. What do we answer? The answer, someone who's proven to be a liar is not necessarily a Gazlan, because Rabbi Baram said, HaKayfer b'Bilbeh, Kasher la'Eidos, because we say he was Mishtameh, he was pushing off the Teveya to buy time. HaKayfer no Kasher. So there's a Rosh, which we didn't see and it's important to see. The Rosh asked a simple question. Halacha l'maisa question. We all know that we pass it like Rav Chia. We pass it like Rav Chia that Hadas Eidim is Mechayev a Shur D'Raisa. That's not love. Where's Rav Chia's source? From Tzara Shabbat, from Eidechad, and Moedeh b'Miktzas. Correct the Rosh. The Gemara said there's a fear from the Tzara Shabbat. Eidim is worse, Hadas Eidim is worse, because the guy loves a kafir and he can't make him swear. Like I mean, all Ashur. What was the Gemara's teretz? HaKofer b'milveh, kosher le'esish tamuti. Correct the Rosh, but the Gemara continues and says, HaKofer b'pikadon is postulated. And Rashi explained, if Eidim testified that when he denied the Pikadon was sitting in his pocket, we saw it in his hand. He was holding on to the Pikadon and he denied that he had it, so he can't be Istamuti, he can't be buying time until he's able to get the thing together, he has it in his hand. So now we know he's a guy. So he's postulated. No. Well, if you have somebody who has two Eidim, testifying in someone that is guilty of owing somebody back a Pikadon, the Miktsas, right? I claim Noy has $1,000 of money that he was a shomer for me. Not a halva, because the two agents came and said, oh, he has the money still in the silver coins in the frame, in the pit in the bed, and he still has it, he's holding on to it, and he's lying. And they say he has two of the coins, another five of them. So that's Hadas Eidim and Miktsas, but it's on a Pikadai. That Eidim testified they saw it in his hand. So he's not Sakafra. So he should be Chayv Shvur. And the thing is, Hadas Eidim is Chayv Shvur, even on Pikadai the head. That's the Rosh's Kash. What happened to the beer from Hot Sakafra? So the Rosh says it's Eretz. Rosh says, Ube Pikadai Nami, end of Siman Dalet. The heat of Sakafron, it's true he's of Sakafron, and you can't learn out a case of Sakafron from the Tzad HaShaveh. We call Makoyim, he has a riot from the Gemara later, Chazino will come on, the Afin because they don't run Kilo Hosakaveh riot, from the Gemara. What's the pshat? It's up there, behind time. Pshat's like this. Behind time. Kiva, the Gabe Milva Yalfina Mibenayu, since there is a Tzad HaShaveh, and the Tzad HaShaveh tells us that by a Milva where he's not a Hosakafron, there has to be, logically, depending on Tzad HaShaveh, a Chiv Shvur based on the Hadas Eidim. So, Yalfina Mibenayu, the Hadas Eidim, Chashvina Kedas Pim L'chai V'Shvur. So once we see a case of Milva, there's Milva and Pikadon. Milva is Hosakafron, Pikadon is not Hosakafron. So a milva who's not a Hosakafron is similar to the Tzad HaShaveh and is able to be learned out from the Tzad HaShaveh that he should be Chayv Shvur because you have Hadas Eidim on 50% of the milva because there he's not a Hosakafron. So once there's a Yalfusa that there's a Chiyuv Shvur based on Hadas Eidim, now we already learned that Hadas Eidim B'Miktas is a Chayv Shvur. So now the fact that it becoming Hadas Eidim B'Miktas is a Mechayv for Shvur, you don't need the Tzad HaShaveh. Oh, we already saw it by Milva. It's the same thing. Hadas Eidim is Hadas Eidim. And therefore, we understand in the parsha of Hadas Eidim B'Milva that the Mechayv for Shvur state that Hadas Eidim is a Mechayv for Shvur. Now your brother in a case of Pikadon where he's Hosakafron, you don't need another Yalfus. If you're in a case, if you're Hadas Eidim Mechayv for Shvur, even in the case of Pikadon. I will say the chashuv you can't swear. Then it's up to us. This is what it says. If someone is a chashuv al shvur, that it is shekinekdo, nishpa, b'noy. That's the Torah. Now, Chasdov brings the Shiloh from Achronim. Chashuv the Shiloh. It says very nice. The Rosh says a beautiful shot. The Rosh says that once we already have Yalfusa by Hadas Eidim and Espachai V'Shvur by Milva. So we already have a marker that Hadas Eidim is Mechayv Shvur. Then we already understand Hadas Eidim is Mechayv Shvur. So by because Hadas Eidim is Mechayv Shvur, I don't like the Kafran, so we won't be Nishba. We should connect the Nishba with like. Correct? The Dachastov and the Sheikh Achronim over. The Gemara brings a raya, and this brings us to the next Gemara. The Gemara says that Rav Chia brought a raya b'Torah Tuna. For unser Mishnah, Shnei Mitzvah B'Dalis, is where we're going to start tomorrow. The Gemara brought a raya from the Mishnah, Shnei Mitzvah B'Dalis, and the Gemara understood that the Chiv Shvur, Shnei Mitzvah B'Dalis, is the Shvur D'Oraisa, because of Anan Sahadi, and Hadas Eidim, because Anan Sahadi that half belongs to the other guy, so that's why I have to swear on my half. The chayr, the half that Eidim were made belongs to another guy, I said was mine. And it's not a mill, that wasn't Ishtamuti. The talus is sitting right here between me and him, we're fighting over the talus. And I said that half that's his is mine. So I lied. And now we have Hadas Eidim saying allowed to swear. A shvus might be a mixus. On the half that's mine, since I was kaifer. In the other half that's in his hands, and that's a become and there's no shavuti, so I shouldn't be able to swear. Rather, we didn't get a shekinah either, because the other guy was kaifer in the half that I'm holding on to, so no one's going to be able to swear. So whatever. But it doesn't make sense. How can we explain that our Mishnah is a Chiyuv Shvuah? We didn't make him a Mikzas, there's a Din Chashov. Kaifer min Bikadar. Azoi, Frek, and Achzov, B'Shem Achroim. So it says, so sharp. He says it's Bechlal Nanakasha. Ein Kan Aschol Askus Yikla. Why? That's question. A non-sadi that half belongs to the other guy is never going to make somebody a Hochzakaf. Hochzakaf means I claim that money is mine and Adam said I love it. Well, then I become possible. A non-sahadi, that since he's a muhsak on it, there's a din, I'll be tired that we have a chiyuv judge that he's assumed to be the owner, that's not going to make me into a life. That's not Adam. That's zechusiv. No, yes, the zechus in his half to be considered his. That's not going to make me possible. Adam, because it is Adam. That's muhsak. Muhsak amal is not going to make a muhsak kaf. That's the, you say, no. Thank you, everybody, for being with me. Okay. We're the same. Maybe you're right. You want to say that even the Midah, which means more than Yedida, but there's such a thing called I feel like Midah is like a certain, like I give in, I surrender. You're saying it could be it's less. I can be fine. It's impossible. I saw that. I didn't see good chat. Not ready for that. The other side is to say that I know where Ruff says this. He doesn't. He says the complaint was in the and somehow in this case there's a chiyuv without a shirt. He doesn't say it. But they were saying. Okay. Go ahead. Welcome.
Good, thank you.
Aslacha.
Can you have plates? We need plates for the pizza.
Go ahead. WhatsApp بعد غيره بقى منها ولا نجيب من طب برضه
Ele fosse